Things just got worse and worse and worse as the night went on. Again, valiant effort down the stretch for the Bucks. Just too little, too late. Let's go down and let's see what Coach Fletch and the rest of the crew has to say. As always, go Bulls. So let's head into the locker room right now and see what the guys have to say about that one. Wow. Where do the Buccaneers go from here? What an incredible atmosphere. What a good win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They snapped a 7-game winning streak. How we feeling, Bucs Nation? It's time to party, baby. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Recher podcast. Happy Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025 to you and yours. Whether you're here in the Tampa Bay area or listening abroad, I appreciate you. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok. I am everywhere. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. Look at David Terry. He's ready to roll. 4 minutes before we go live on air. Hit that like button. Listen to DT. Hit that like button. Every single like helps, whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter/X. A big thank you to our main sponsor right here, Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, for all your residential and commercial needs. Scan that QR code. I just posted my pictures and videos from when I visited the job site last Thursday. It was amazing. A custom build there in St. Pete, right along this old channel right there for boats. It was beautiful. You got to go check it out, man. If you have any type of kitchen renovation or bathroom renovation or a new build, like I just said, my guy Russ and the family over there at Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, 813-244-0956. They will be able to help you out. He's a Tampa Bay sports fan just like you. These are the kind of people you want to trust. Give him a shout. Tell him that you heard it right here on the Recher podcast and get you a discount. What a show we have for you today. We'll start talking some Bucks, and then at 12:20 today, we're going to bring in our guy Marc Raimondi from ESPN. I recorded this beforehand. The first time I've ever recorded an interview before the show, and we're going to play it back for you guys at 12:20 today. He was in the car on the way to the Falcons practice facility, so it's just an audio interview. But man, it's always a good thing to be able to chat with him. Just a all-around great dude. Big fan of our pal Marc Raimondi. It just doesn't get much better than that. Big shout out to Nathan Elliott, who was there at the big event last night. Dolan in the house. Hello, Jay, and everyone listening to Techno Classic Rock 80s, not Taylor Swift. Lies. You are definitely, she's in there. We got some breaking news when it comes to the Tampa Bay Lightning. How about this? The Tampa Bay Lightning have hired Pat Maroon as an alumni relations brand ambassador, the team announced today, who represent the Lightning and Vinnick Sports Group at community, youth hockey, Bolt for Life, suite holder, and partner appearances throughout the season. Pair with his work in the community, Maroon will be part of the new and exciting Lightning television broadcast on Scripps Sports. No surprise there. The big rig. How great is that, man? Did the Lightning put something out? Let me see if the big rig. How cool is that, man? Did they put anything? It doesn't look like they put anything on there. The big rig with the bolts. I love that. We'll take care of it later. 36 days till puck drop. That's what I love about hockey season. Hockey season is just a little bit of a preseason, then boom, right into the season. It's not long. It's not drawn out. It's a couple weeks, and then boom, before you know it, they are back and ready to roll. Big part of the family again. And shout out to everybody tuning in. Love Maroon, Janet Best. He loves you too, Janet. That's what he told me. Cool Bucks event in Tampa Theater. You got to love that. What else do we have on the program today? A ton of things. Of course, we're going to talk about the Raise the Flags premiere, Luke Goedeke extension, the vibes around the Bucks are at an all-time high right now, including a guy that returned to practice today, which is a big deal going into week one, the first game of the season against the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday up there in Georgia. I mentioned Marc Raimondi at 12:20. At 12:45, if the Rays make the playoffs, this guy should be getting consideration for AL MVP. I think you know who it is, but we'll get into that at 12:45. At 1 o'clock today, Aileen Hnatiuk from WFLA. She's going to talk some Bucks and covering all things in the Tampa Bay area. If you know Aileen from WFLA, she does a wonderful job coming across. She used to work and cover the Saints. Now she's here in the Bay Area. She has so mmany followers on TikTok, on Twitter, on Instagram. She's destined for big things. We were hanging out the other day during the USF game, and the sky's the limit. It's only a matter of time before she's working national. She's going to join us here at 1 o'clock. And then at 1:25, I've been talking about this the last couple of days, and I'm mentioning it right now too. When you get to a certain level in sports media, it doesn't matter how often you're wrong. It doesn't. And I'm going to tell you why. At 1:25 today, that's what we'll end the show with today. We have the Beckles and Recher podcast coming up at 3 o'clock as well, so you don't want to miss that one. Make sure you subscribe to this channel so you know when we go live. Look at Lady Evil in the house. Pat Maroon's the best. Benny, you were late, Benny. Late, Benny. Not good. No, not Marc Raimondi. And Adam Cartwright. What up, Jay? How about that cross up in Houston? Feel like I would have had a clubhouse meeting between innings. Adam, I was trying to figure out. See, the thing is, I'm glad you brought this up. And if you guys haven't seen this, go check it out. It's a video last night in Houston after Framber Valdez gave up a grand slam to Trent Grisham. The Yankees beat the Houston Astros in a very impressive win for the Bronx Bombers. For years, it seemed like Houston had the Yankees numbers, and I think it's the other way around right now. It seems like they played much better against them the last 2 years. But you have to see what happened there in Houston. It is a cross-up that is certainly intentional. He is not happy with what happened last night. He's not happy with what happened to the previous batter. He was not on the same page as his catcher. Listen, if you've ever been a catcher at any level, but especially as you get older and the guys are throwing harder and they're throwing a ton of different pitches, dude, you got to know what's coming. But with what happened last night between Cesar Salazar, the 29-year-old backstop for the Astros, and Framber Valdez, it is inexcusable. Inexcusable. Dude, seriously hurt somebody. And John Boy did something, a video. I know Dallas Braden did something, a video on it. That is one of the most dangerous things in sports you can do. Because a guy's thinking that a ball's going to break one way, it breaks the other day. You can hit a guy in the face. You can hit a guy in the throat. You can hit a guy in the – I know he's got a chest protector, but you could break a guy's hand. Like, it's super dangerous and irresponsible. That's Bush League, and that's complete bullshit for what Framber Valdez. I don't care what you felt, and you thought it was the wrong – execute. Even if it's the wrong pitch called, execute the damn pitch. You gave up the home run. Bad, dude. Bad. One of the worst things that you're going to see in sports. I hated that. As a baseball coach, that sucked. Screw you, Framber Valdez, if that's the kind of guy that you're going to be. If the Rays make the playoffs, the epic battle will be Rays fans versus Buccaneer fans in the parking lots on game days. Carlos, you got it. He did his catcher dirty. You can't do that, man. You can't do that. It's hard enough to catch some of these guys when they know what's coming. And then you're going to mix a guy up on purpose. He knows exactly what he did. And when you look at the reaction from the kid, and I know I say he's a kid, he's 29 years old, but listen, Cesar Salazar is not a guy he's had 56 ABs in his career in the major leagues. Framber's not doing that to Martin Maldonado or any Jason Castro, any of the other veteran catchers that they've had over the years. That was a Bush League move, man. That's a douchebag move if I've ever seen it. No doubt about it. All right, let's talk some Buccaneer football here, guys. The Raise the Flags premiere. Obviously, I wasn't there because I was, doing what I do on Tuesday nights at the baseball field. But wow, what a great premiere to see so many people in attendance. And our friend Aileen was there. She's going to join us at 1 o'clock today. But to see Tom Brady there and Brad Johnson there and John Gruden there, Jimmy Giles was there and Doug Williams. Like, it was real. Ali Marpet. There was a lot of big names. Jason Light as well. Really cool to be able to celebrate the love and listen, it's been up and down, right, for the career and the history of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But the recent history has been really good the last decade. So I'm glad. And again, this is just lockstep in what has gone so well for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year. I feel like before the season, they've done such a great job of celebrating the 50 years. I don't know if I've ever seen any other team do something like this. They're going all out, man. They're going full bore. And I appreciate that. It is a ton. It is a ton. Nathan Elliott was there, took pics and shook a lot of hands. Buccaneers legends and players were all over. That's a great thing to hear from our guy, Nate Dogg. Bart Hill in the house as well. And this all coming off the backs that Luke Goedeke has signed an extension to stay with the Buccaneers. I think he's the third highest paid right tackle in the game. And I know we played tackle in college, but we're going to talk about this again later on in the Beckles and Recher podcast. But it is still fascinating to me that the guy, and again, I know we played tackle in college, but he came into the league and was playing guard, and he was not great. And then he goes from left guard to right tackle, and he's still performing at such a high level now that he's one of the best players in the game at that position. Like, it's truly impressive. It is. I love watching him go about his business. He's a guy that has fun out there. He, alongside Tristan Wirfs, formed the best tackle tandem in the league. And some good news today, Tristan jersey on, jogging out there to the field. He's getting closer and closer to a return. He'll definitely be back before a guy like Chris Godwin. Very happy and well-deserved. And there's a reason why guys want to stay here. They don't even want to get to free agency. You know, there's such a, I don't want to say selfishness because it makes it sound like there's a negative connotation, but listen, guys are thinking about themselves and to each their own. And I get it because the NFL stands for not for long and you can get cut at the drop of a hat. I get that. But there's something about staying in the Tampa Bay area. There's something about buying in to what guys like Mike Evans and Levante David and all these other guys have bought into and have really flourished in their time here in the 813. And Luke Goedeke is another guy that's going to be here for 3, 4, 5 years, if not longer. When you have an offensive line where it's like the old rotisserie barbecue, set it and forget it, I mean, that's a huge, huge coup for a football team that not a lot of other people have around the league. They're still even going into week one. What are we going to do at this spot? What are we going to do at that spot? You know, there's still a battle. Are we going to name a starter? I mean, we're going to talk to Marc Raimondi here in a couple minutes, and he brings up that, Caleb McGarry out for the year. Their backup got hurt. He's out 6 to 8 weeks. So now you're looking at a bunch of journeymen and the guys that are coming up from the practice squad. Like, we're not dealing with that. The Buccaneers have Charlie Heck, who's going to be filling in the left tackle for a couple weeks until Tristan comes back. And then you have Tristan, Ben Bredesen, Graham Barton, Cody Malk, and Luke Goedeke for the foreseeable future. You have to like what the Buccaneers have done, investing in the trenches, and that's why they've had some success here the last couple of years, and they're going for their 5th straight division title. One player that we mentioned yesterday that we were concerned about, and I think it's fair to be concerned about because we've talked about injuries so much before he's ever taken a snap in an NFL game, and that's Benjamin Morrison, who was banged up originally. Oh, there we go. The news on Pat Maroon. There you go. Alumni ambassador. But we had to be worried, right? You had to be worried about Benjamin Morrison, the hip injury, the hamstring. And now you look at it and you say, is he going to practice before week 1? Well, yes. He's back out there today. So he's out there. Kate Otten's out there. So you can kind of have an idea, if you're just joining us for the first time today, what the starting 11 on both sides are going to be. We know that it's going to be the aforementioned, again, Heck, Bredesen, Barton, Malk, and then Goedeke. Your quarterback is going to be Baker Mayfield, makes 6. You're going to have a guy in Bucky Irving is 7, Kate Otten is 8, and then your 3 receivers to start the season are going to be Evans, Abuka, and Sterling Shepard. Now, if you go with 2 wide receivers and you throw another tight end, you can go Payne Durham, you can bring in Keeft, dual running backs in the backfield with Rashad White and a guy like Bucky Irving. Can't beat that. Defensively, okay, you're going to have Vita Vea, Kalijah Cansey in the middle. You'll have Logan Hall in there on early downs. You'll have Hassan Reddick and Yaya Diaby on each of the outside linebacker spots, and then Levante David, Sarase Dennis, Jamel Dean, Zion McCollum. Your safeties are going to be Tyke Smith, Antoine Winfield Jr., and your nickel corner is probably going to be Jacob Harris. So, I mean, it's pretty good to be able to rattle that off, off the tip of the tongue. And the only starter that you're going to be missing going into week 1 is Tristan Wirfs. We know Christian Isian's out. He's probably not going to play week 1. If he's not practicing today, I doubt he plays. There's no oblique injury. It's one of those things where you just don't know. There's no reason to rush him back. You have some other guys that can kind of fill in that spot. He's a guy that's a jack of all trades. He can play nickel. He can play either of the safety spots. In a pinch, he can play corner. You love to have that Swiss Army knife on your team, and that's exactly what Christian Isian is. I love that guy. I'm a huge Chris Isian fan. So really, really good stuff there. And you're getting more and more positive news about this Buccaneers team. And I just feel like going into this year, and I don't know if you guys feel the same way. I hope you do. I really feel like it's NFC Championship game or bust. It might even be Super Bowl or bust. I am so high on the Buccaneers. This may be one of the highest I've been. And I'm not talking about Snoop Dogg smoking a J on the back of a giraffe high. I'm talking about my opinion of this team. It may be as high as any team that we've seen here in the last 10 years with the Tampa Bay sports team. And the Rays don't make this less for me. The Lightning, maybe the second year after winning the Stanley Cup, maybe that one. I'm higher on this team even than the one that won the Super Bowl, because you had a feeling that there was going to just be even though they brought all back 22 of their starters, we know how hard it is to repeat in this league. And you just knew that there was some type of regression. They could have made it to the Super Bowl or even won it, but you just assume that there's going to be a little bit of a letdown. I feel like when we're talking about this Buccaneers team, the positivity, the optimism, the upward trajectory of this team, knowing that they're much better, especially on the defensive side of the ball, in 2025 than they were in 2024. And that was their, fourth straight division title. I mean, the sky's got to be the limit for these guys. And the same thing as I said, you got to win in the NFC at plus 1,400. Good for you, bro. I think I might throw some cheddar on that as well. The same thing I said last Thursday about the USF Bulls, I'm saying about the Buccaneers. Enough of the talking, and they don't really do all that talking, but enough of the, okay, we're here, we won a division title. Like, nobody wants that. Nobody wants to be the Bills. Nobody wants to be the Atlanta Braves in the 90s. I know Atlanta finally did get one there in 94? Or 95, excuse me, because the strike was 94. There's got to be progress this year. And I'm talking about distinct, discernible progress. You need to be one of the last 4 teams, at the very least. I think the Buccaneers should say Super Bowl or bust. Forget about NFC Championship game or bust. You know why? Because the 2 teams I think you could argue that are as good as the Buccaneers, if not better, are Detroit and Philadelphia. And guess what? The Buccaneers have had success against both of those teams. I think they match up well with them. I have faith in the Bucs. I think it should be Super Bowl or bust for them this year. Not necessarily winning it, but making it to the Super Bowl. Can you imagine if the Bucs ended up in the Super Bowl this year? Wow. Tampa Bay would be buzzing once again. That is the way to celebrate 50 years in the National Football League. That's the mindset that they need to have. I love that Todd Bowles kind of set those expectations last year. If you remember that video that we spoke about, it was like 4 or 5 minute video, and Todd was saying, about having big goals and about having big dreams. That's what the Buccaneers need to do here. I'm not too worried about, getting banged up, because there's a lot of injuries around the National Football League, and there's going to be more throughout the season. But it's how they navigate through those tough waters, how they tread water when they know they're going to be missing for a guy for a couple weeks, like we saw on Mike Evans last year. I think Todd Bowles in the right spot. I look at Josh Grizzard. Now's your opportunity to show that there's not a drop-off from Liam Cohen to you. And you have a great challenge against Atlanta. I think sometimes you have a team and you might try to ease into it as the season goes. Not here. Not with the Buccaneers. You got to be ready to roll because the team that beat you twice last season and still feels like they could possibly be the better team. This is the time for you to show who you are. Are you just a team that's a division champ, a team that's going to be remembered as the best of the worst division? Or are you going to prove that you were stacking building blocks and building a foundation for a team that was eventually going to climb the mountain and win a Super Bowl for the third time in franchise history? It's up to them. They're the ones that go out there and play the game. All right, let's bring in our guy, Marc Raimondi. And again, I pre-recorded this before, so we are going to take care of that right now. Put that one up there. Bro, that is the first time that happened. I have never seen that before. I got kicked out for the first time. Wow. All right, so let me bring this up again. We're going to bring in the Marc Raimondi discussion here, ladies and gents. Bear with me. All right, here we go. This is from a little while ago. This is Marc Raimondi and myself, ESPN's Marc Raimondi, talking all things Falcons and, yeah, a little WWE and NWO as well. Enjoy. All right, we're here with our guy, Marc Raimondi, ESPN, and of course, we're going to talk a little NWO here in a bit. Marc, I appreciate you making time. I know you're on your way to the facility right now. How is your Wednesday going, my brother?
Everything is going well. It's week 1. I am ready for games that count, Jay, and we will get one, a good one, on Sunday.
You got that right. The Buccaneers, even though they won the division last year, lose both games to the Atlanta Falcons. It was pretty crazy watching that quarterback documentary on Netflix and seeing how Kirk Cousins prepared for a guy like Todd Bowles. He had so much respect for him, but we know that it's going to be the Michael Penix show for the Falcons for the foreseeable future. What have we seen from him in training camp, and what are the expectations for him going into year 2?
Well, the team, the franchise is very high on Michael Penix, right? I mean, they drafted him number 8 for a reason. They believed in him before the draft, and I think that everything that he's done so far since he's been in the building has kind of fortified that belief. They really believe that he is the franchise, that he is their guy for the near future and the, long future, the extended future. And it's his arm talent, and it's also his processing. They really just think that he has a great football IQ. They think he's become a really good leader in a short amount of time. They think that he is not someone that's going to get flustered in big moments. And he showed a little bit of that last year at the end of the season when he started those last 3 games, had the big throw to Kyle Pitts for a touchdown in Washington to tie the game in the 4th quarter. And, just a guy they really are very high on. But I do want to temper expectations because we're talking about a guy who, he may not be a rookie, Jay, but he's like a rookie 0.5. He only started 3 games last year. He has not had a whole season of NFL action under his belt yet, and he is going to be getting that soon. And that is going to be the test, right? Because these games count, and it's going to be very interesting to see. And really, I mean, I think that as far as the season goes, the Falcons are going to go as Michael Penix Jr. goes. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Yeah, I hear you, my friend, and it's going to be interesting to see what he can do. And there's still it's such a weird relationship too, because he's a Dade City guy, Tampa guy. He said that during the scrap in the preseason, I'm from Tampa, and everybody here was like, we're not supposed to like you because you're the Falcons guy, but that was pretty cool of you to say. You mentioned Kyle Pitts. I mean, this is a guy, of course, people here in Florida are going to remember him for his exploits with the Gators. You and I talked about this a couple of months ago. I mean, what's the thought on Kyle? Are they thinking that a full year with Penix, 2nd year with Zach Robinson, that's going to make a difference and it's going to warrant that 1st-round pick? Because you'd have to say that it's been a little underwhelming his tenure with the Falcons.
They are hopeful. I mean, no one knows for sure because I thought Pitts looked really good in training camp last season with Kirk Cousins throwing to him, and he looked pretty good. He was a bit limited this camp due to injury, off-season injury, but him and Penix have definitely developed this off-the-field relationship that I think has the Falcons happy and excited. They're golf buddies. They travel to games together. They're friends, and I think that the Falcons have been looking for something to kind of get a different level out of Kyle Pitts, or I should say maybe returning to the same level that he was at as a rookie. And they are really hoping that Michael Penix is the guy to kind of lift him up and give him that confidence and give him that, new mindset going into this year, which, what also might give him a new mindset is the fact that it's a contract year and there could be a lot of money waiting for him at the end of this season.
Yeah, you got that right, my friend. That's always the ultimate driving force and motivator for these professional athletes, no doubt about it. Now, I want to ask you about the offensive line. We obviously know with the Buccaneers and Tristan Wirfs is going to be out for the first couple of weeks, but Atlanta's no short of problems on the offensive line right now. What can you tell us about the injuries and who that the Buccaneers could see on Sunday there at the tackle spot?
So right tackle Caleb McGarry is out for the season. He got hurt in basically the last practice of training camp right before the final preseason game, and it's a leg injury. And right now, and look, I mean, Caleb McGarry, very good run blocker, was going to have this added role this season as the cover for Michael Penix's blind side because Penix is a left-hander. So it was going to be a big season for McGarry. He just signed a new contract, $30 million over 2 years, and now he's out for the season. So they, on top of that, Jay, so that's bad enough, but they have a guy named Storm Norton who's a very serviceable backup tackle. He's also injured. He's out 6 to 8 weeks after ankle surgery. So their top two right tackles are gone for the foreseeable future, which means they had to – they're piecing it together. It seems like Elijah Wilkinson, who's a veteran, is the likely starter on Sunday. He started 19 games in Denver at right tackle a few years ago. And he's also been with the Falcons for the last several years. He played left guard for them a few years ago. He started a bunch of games for them. So he's kind of like a versatile reserve guy who's kind of a jack of all trades on the line. Not necessarily the guy you want to go into week one with at right tackle, but also not a bum, right? Not a scrub. He's a veteran. They also just traded for a guy named Michael Jarrell, who was a Seahawks right tackle last year. Who was a rookie last year, and they signed a couple of guys to the practice squad that they're thinking that, hey, maybe they can hit on one of these guys. But that's where it is right now. It's kind of a competition right now. It seems like Wilkinson is the front runner, but they would not be upset if one of these younger guys, like a Jarrell that I just mentioned, stepped up and became kind of a diamond in the rough.
Yeah, you said the name Storm Norton. I feel like that's a name that got turned down by Joe Anawai before he took Roman Reigns. It's
a tremendous name. Tremendous name.
Man. Storm Norton's definitely a WCW dark match guy going up against Glacier or Brad Armstrong. Yes. That's a great name, man. I'll be thinking about that for a while. All right, tell me about these pass rushers, man. Obviously invested a couple of draft picks in them. That's something that the Bucs and the Falcons, I think, in the past couple of years, looking for some consistency there. We know Atlanta brought in Matthew Judon last year. What can you tell me about these young guys and the impact that the Falcons are hoping that they have starting in week one against the Bucs?
Well, James Pierce Jr. is the guy they traded back into the first round to get, and they gave up a first round pick from next year to do that, which was a little bit controversial. But I will say, seeing him in training camp, I understand why they did it, because he was a demon at times on the edge. He really was. He was very impressive. He runs like a 4.4. He's 6'5". He's probably got to put on a little bit more muscle, and he will. But the dude looks like a really exciting player and a guy that could be maybe an answer to their pass rush woes. Because this is a team, Jay, that since 2019, they have 30 fewer sacks than any other team in the NFL.
Jeez.
So they have struggled. It has been a rough go for them from that perspective. So they're hoping that Pierce and Jalen Walker, who was the number 15 pick from Georgia, can give them some life there. Walker missed a lot of training camp with a hamstring and a groin injury, so we haven't seen a ton of him. But part of that was also just precautionary. You don't want to, those are two things that you don't want to mess around with, this early in the season. So they're hoping that he's back and he's 100%. He is going to play on Sunday. I don't know if he's going to start, but yeah, they're high on both those guys. Walker, especially from like a versatility and kind of football IQ standpoint, he's a son of a coach. I mean, he's a guy that played in Kirby Smart's scheme in Georgia. He's kind of a high character guy, possibly a future captain on this team, Raheem Morris thinks. So they love both those guys, and now they got to go out and show it in the real games.
Mark, what's the overall sentiment about the Falcons in Atlanta and the state of Georgia? I had an interview yesterday, and we were having the conversation about, is the gap widening between the Buccaneers and the Falcons? What's the belief? What's the sentiment? Because you did beat the Bucs twice last year, so obviously there's got to be, you have that kind of ace of spades there for you, but. I think it's mathematically very confusing that you can beat a division champion twice and not make the playoffs yourself. That's very rare to see. So what's kind of the belief? What are Falcons fans saying going into this season? Is there optimism? Is there pessimism? Is it cautious on either side? What do you think?
There was a lot of optimism last season, and I think there is some caution this season. And the fans were so optimistic last season, Jay, that season tickets sold out. All packages sold out before training camp for the first time in 20 years.
Wow.
So fans were very hopeful of the Kirk Cousins era. That ended up not being a very long era, as we know.
Right.
And now I think that there's excitement with Penix, and certainly there's excitement with Bijan Robinson and Drake London. And these are, young players that could really turn. And I would argue that Bijan Robinson's already there as an elite of the elite. And I think Drake London is on the cusp of becoming that as well. So there's definitely excitement. But I also think that when you haven't been to the playoffs in 7 years and you haven't had a winning record in 7 years, there is going to be some hesitation to really get behind the team in a full-chested way, right? So that's what it's going to be, I think, until they show that they can win, and that's going to have to happen, early in the season, and they have a winning record. I think it's gonna blow up. But when the Falcons are good, Atlanta is red hot. It's on fire. But they haven't been good. They haven't been, and I think that's the second longest playoff drought in the NFL, next to the Jets, who are first. So it's been a minute for the Falcons.
Yeah, and we deal with some hesitation when it comes to the head coach with Todd Bowles here. There's always going to be naysayers. There's always going to be his detractors. I don't know if the fan base is 100% behind him. What about Raheem? Because he's still near and dear. I know Rondé Barber, Buccaneer, great. They're really tight. And regardless, even though it didn't work here, there's still a lot of people that, every time they dealt with Ra, he was a really nice guy. What's the belief in Raheem Morris like there in Atlanta? Same thing. Is there cautious optimism? Are people as excited as they were last year?
Raheem is a guy that if you talk to people around the league, I don't think you're going to find many people saying a bad word about him. Honestly, right. He is a very nice guy. He's very charismatic. He's very friendly, and the players love him. They really do. They love playing for him. It's one of the things, like we even heard some of the free agents who signed with the Falcons this year mention that, just kind of the culture of the team that Raheem has brought. But it is a results-based business, right? I mean, there's a lot of nice guys out there, but you got to win, and I think that's kind of the approach. It's cautiously optimistic. Now, I think that Falcons fans would love to win with Raheem Morris, if you get what I mean. Yeah, they would love to. They would love for him to be the coach that brings them back to somewhat prominence, right? Like they were when he was here. He was on those teams. He was on those staffs. With Dan Quinn that went to the Super Bowl, that had those good years with Matt Ryan. So there's affection for him in that respect as well. So yeah, I mean, there's optimism there, but again, there's a little bit of trauma in this fan base, because don't forget that. I hate to even bring up the numbers, because those are like dirty numbers in Georgia. I think you might get I might get pulled over on my way to the facility if I say 28-3. But
right.
there is some scarring. There is some scarring from that I've noticed in my short time here, and that's a real thing. So it's just one of those things where they have to kind of exercise those demons.
Mark, who's a player that we need to keep an eye on that maybe is kind of flying under the radar that maybe the Tampa people and the people around the country haven't been able to keep an eye on over the last couple of weeks because we don't always see everything with training camp and the preseason. Give me a guy.
I think that Casey Washington is a guy that's going to break out this year, and it's not a name that most people know. He was a sixth-round pick for the Falcons last year, and out of Illinois. And he did not play a whole lot. I think he might only have had one reception all last year. He's a wide receiver, but he was Michael Penix Jr.'s favorite target in practice last year with the second team. And if training camp is any indication, that chemistry, that connection has carried over big time, because Casey Washington made probably the three best catches of the entire training camp for the Falcons in practice. He looked great, and I don't know if he's going to crack the starting lineup and be their number 3 receiver, because Ray McLeod is that right now. Speaking of Tampa, he's another Tampa guy. Yep. Right. But I do think that we're going to see Casey Washington have a couple of big games this season. He's got great hands. He's got good speed. He's strong. Really, really a diamond in the rough. I think they've really found a gem in the 6th round last year. And, we'll see what happens. But he's a guy that, he may not make many fantasy lineups because right now he's the number 4 receiver in Atlanta. But I do think, especially if Darnell Mooney is still banged up, I do think we see big games from Casey Washington this year.
It's definitely a name to keep an eye on. Before I let you go, we got to talk about your great book that I finished, read cover to cover, Say Hello to the Bad Guys, How Professional Wrestling's New World Order Changed America. And it's pretty crazy, Mark, because I was flying from New York, visiting my family, to North Carolina for a baseball tournament. And I'm reading the book. I'm coming down to the final pages, and I close the book. I turn on my phone when we land in Raleigh, and the news came across that Hulk Hogan had passed away. And I was just like, you have to be kidding me. I'm just reading this story about the NWO, and then Hulk Hogan, a.k.a. Terry Bollea, has passed away. And, of course, here in the Tampa Bay area, we don't, because this was his home. What was kind of the, we've talked about the book here on the podcast before, but when Hulk passed, I know I saw you doing a bunch of interviews, and what was that like, the kind of reverberating, after effects of the news of losing, a piece of Americana? I mean, whether you liked him or hated him, whatever, like Hulk Hogan is a part of the fabric of our country. You can't write the history of the United States without him in there. What was that like, kind of the aftermath of that?
Yeah, it's kind of what you said, man, because there are people that have very strong feelings about Hulk Hogan both ways, right? Good and bad. And when someone passes away, it's kind of hard to navigate some of that complexity and some of that, the complicated nature of his legacy and who he was. But kind of what you said, I mean, he is Americana. He was such a big part of pop culture in the 80s and then again in the 90s. And few people have had that kind of impact on culture in America. And he was, and he remains, 30 years later, from like his prime, he remained a household name. He remained, a pretty big celebrity. And I think that you got to take everything into account when someone passes away, when you try to discuss and write about, what they did, what their was, how they're going to be remembered. But I do think that you can't, I mean, you can say what you will about Hogan, and I don't know if Terry Bollea, the man, was a great guy. Seemed like he might have made a lot of mistakes and maybe things that he would have regretted, over the years. I wish he had maybe atoned a little bit more for some of the things that he said over the years, some of the racist stuff that he said. But you can't take away what he did for the wrestling business. If you're a wrestling fan, wrestling might not be, WWE might not be where it is today without Hulk Hogan. There, who knows what the landscape would even be if not for Hulk Hogan. And I just think that you can't separate any of those things from who he was and what he did, because both those things are real and they had impact. But yeah, certainly a guy that is just a fascinating character, human being, everything. And he did a lot, and he was, you can't take away what he said, Jay, but you also can't take away how he made people feel in the 80s, how he made kids feel in the 80s, all of his Make-A-Wish work, his charity work. I mean, he did a lot of good as well. And again, a complicated legacy. And that's kind of where it is. And it's hard to, when someone passes away, it's kind of hard to kind of distill everything they did, especially someone like him, into, a 3-minute conversation.
Yeah, you don't want to crap all over somebody the day they pass. You know what I mean? And just like we know
Yeah.
that he's got warts and he's got his demons and he's no
Right.
perfect skeletons in the closet. But
and on the other side of that, you'd also don't want to crap on how he made,
exactly.
made
You don't want to make
people
light.
feel,
Yeah, you don't want to make light
of what he said, and because when you say I'm a racist, you're not really leaving any room for interpretation. There's no wiggle room there. You said it. Okay,
Yeah.
that's how you feel. That's who you are. That's unfortunate, because a lot of like us in the 80s and 90s, there was a lot of black folks who were Hulk Hogan was their hero.
Yeah, man.
And for them to hear that type of thing, it's like, wow, this is a guy that I rode for as a kid and beyond, and he was saying that about who I am, without even knowing who I am, So it's tough, man. It's tough.
Yeah, him and Mr. T, man, obviously what they were able to do. And yeah, I mean, I think he completely changed pop culture in America. I mean, who knows? Like if WrestleMania doesn't happen, if that whole thing doesn't, occur, does wrestling not ever hit that boom? And then you get to the 90s where maybe they're going up one-on-one against UFC and people are like, I don't want to deal with this fake stuff. So you never know, man.
And then if he doesn't, if he doesn't, if he's not part of the NWO with that big heel turn, does wrestling get massive again in the late 90s with him and, Stone Cold and The Rock? I mean, I don't know the answer to that.
Does The Rock become the biggest movie star in the world if there's no such thing as the NWO? That's a fair point. It's a fair point, man, because it's the back and forth. It's that counter programming. It's the whole influence. Guys, everybody watching right now, make sure you read the book. Say hello to the bad guys, How Professional Wrestling's New World Order Changed America. You can get it on Amazon right now. I read the whole thing cover to cover. Mark, the best thing about this book is that you can be, and listen, I'm not a Mark myself. Ric Flair, I asked him, am I a Mark because I'm such a big fan? He goes, no, Jay, you're a real fan. As long as you don't tell everybody what to do and bitch at everybody about wrestling. I go, I'm not like that. He goes, you're not a Mark then. You're good. And if you get the Nature Boy telling you that, I think it's okay. But the one thing I love about this book is that if you're a diehard wrestling fan like myself, or you're a person that is more interested in just the story of Hulk Hogan and Scott Hall and Kevin Nash and just maybe you're a beginner, maybe you're just a casual wrestling fan. Our pal Mark, he does a great job of explaining everything. So you don't know what kayfabe is, you don't know what a heel is, you don't know what a babyface is. It's okay. You can learn on the job. And Mark, you did a great job, man. I mean, you went through the entire thing, so you didn't speak over anybody's head, and you also weren't kind of like dumbing it down to a thing where a guy like myself would be like, duh, Mark, I know. So you hit that groove, brother, right in the middle. So congratulations, man. How has that been? Lastly, just the response from the book.
It's been great, man. The feedback has been incredible. It's kind of a dream, honestly, because I got to write a book about something that's so near and dear to me, and that's been a big part of my life as a wrestling fan for forever. So, I mean, I just can't say enough. It's like it's still surreal, honestly. Like I wake up and I still can't believe it, to be honest.
He's the man, Marc Raimondi, ESPN. Mark, I appreciate your time, brother. We'll talk again soon. Enjoy the game this weekend.
Thank you so much, man.
So there you go. Our pal Marc Raimondi, all over it. And there you go. So as far as worried about the Falcons this weekend, I don't count me as one of those guys. Don't count me as that at all. I'm not worried about that at all, my friends. Just saw some stuff. Some breaking news on the Buccaneers side. There we go. Hold on, folks. Some breaking Bucs news. All right. So we know that there was a discussion last night, and the captains of the 2025 Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been named. Literally no surprises. No surprises whatsoever. On the offensive side of the ball, you have three guys, and on the defensive side of the ball, you have three guys as well. Baker Mayfield, your first captain. Mike Evans, another captain. And Tristan Wirfs, your third captain. How great is that? I mean, honestly, when you look at what those guys have contributed to this franchise, well deserved. And you're going to see three guys wearing the gold captain patch because they've been named the captain more than five or more times. And that'll be Baker, Mike Evans, and then the first defensive captain, and that is our guy, Lavonte David. No surprise there. Lavonte David, Vita Vea, and Antoine Winfield Jr. No mysteries there, I think, at all. I think you look at those guys, you do Godwin or Wirfs. Godwin's banged up, so, probably, just go with Tristan Wirfs. I mean, he's one of the best players in the National Football League. He's the anchor at that left tackle spot. And sometimes you look at the captain and it could be overblown and, it could be drama or a lack thereof. I think when you have a team like the Buccaneers that are so established and they're so concrete in their foundation, this kind of stuff is only good. It's not, does it really mean anything in the grand scheme of things? No, not the end of the day, but it's just a nice thing. I always feel like in life and especially in sports, you need so many people to work together to be successful. You have this big pot of positivity, this big pot of emotions where, it's not the end all be all, but the more good things you throw into it, the better off you are. The more positivity that you're dispersing throughout your people, more good vibes that you have. I just think you have a better chance to be successful when people are in a good mind space where people are just happy to be there. And when you have a situation like this where you have 6 really easy choices as your captains, it's not really a point of contention. It's not really something to argue. And all 6 of those guys are going to wear that captaincy with honor. And again, what Mike Evans and Lavonte David have brought to the table for many, many years. Those guys are pillars in our community, not just members of the football team. And you see how right off the bat, and I think you throw Vita Vea in there as well, but right off the bat, from the beginning of their careers, Antoine Winfield Jr. and Tristan Wirfs hit the ground running. They were guys wise beyond their years, playing way better than a rookie should. Super Bowl champions. And then you have a guy like Baker Mayfield, who has done the best job. I think probably the best job out of any player that we've ever seen that wasn't either drafted or came up through the ranks in Tampa Bay. I don't know if anybody's done a better job than him. That wasn't from here, that made Tampa his home. Right, you can talk about Randy, but he came up through the ranks, and I know he came across in a trade, but he came up through the ranks, and it was a little different. It wasn't like he was a free. I'm talking about a guy that was maybe elsewhere, free agent signing, comes to the Tampa Bay area, and just jumps in with both feet. That's what we've seen from Baker Mayfield. Incredible. We're so lucky to have him here. All right, let's talk some Rays baseball. I want to mention this real quick before we get back to some Bucks talk. Our good friend Aileen Hnatiuk is going to join us at 1:00. So when you think about it, this Tampa Bay Rays team continues. Excuse me, Gabby Shirley talking about Pat Maroon. Pretty awesome. So think about it like this. This Tampa Bay Rays team, after their win last night, they're 69-69. They beat the Mariners 6-5, and a team that everybody out there, I don't say everybody, but a large chunk of people, myself included, have written off for this season. They have not given up. They have not subsided. They have shown that they are going to fight to the bitter end. And that is a big, big tip of the hat to a guy like Kevin Castro having his team ready to roll. Great to see Richie Palacios back. Yandy Diaz. I mean, you look at Simpson, Diaz, Lau, Caminero, Lowe, Mangum, Palacios. This lineup for the first time in a long time, you're like, okay, respectability. Now, if you could just hold up your end on the pitching and defense side, I mean, you can give yourself a chance. You really can. But the one thing I want to mention when we're talking about top players in Major League Baseball, and you're talking about the MVP, if the Rays make the playoffs, Junior Caminero has to get serious consideration for MVP. I know how good Cal Raleigh has been. I know how good Aaron Judge is. But where in the hell would the Rays be without Junior Caminero? He's 22 years old. His defense has gotten better as the year has gone by. And you look at it just right now at 12:50, Wednesday, September 5th, 2025. This 22-year-old kid has 40 home runs and 100 runs batted in. I mean, it's amazing. It's incredible. Before the season started, we spoke about the pressure that Junior Caminero was going to be under going into the season. And I told you guys right here, I don't think that's something to worry about at all. Junior Caminero was built to be a Major League Baseball player. He was built to come through when the lights are the brightest. He was built to carry a team on his back. And when other guys have been hurt and other guys have underperformed and other guys had slow starts to the season or other guys got traded away, you know what Junior Caminero has done? He's literally just gone out there and been one of the best players in all of baseball. Not one of the best rookies, one of the best players all around in Major League Baseball. If the Rays make the playoffs, Junior Caminero is no worse than third in the MVP voting. I know people have already probably gotten their Cal Raleigh votes ready or their Aaron Judge votes ready. We know how it goes with writers around the country. But you can't ignore the year that Junior Caminero has had. You figure right now with as many games as they have left, right? They're sitting here at 138 games. They have 24 games left. If he hits, 5 more bombs and drives in another 10 or 15 runs, you're looking at a guy that's going to hit 45, 46 home runs and drive in almost 120 as a rookie. Wow. And all right, he's not technically a rookie, I guess, whatever. But, I mean, my God. My goodness. What a beast. As a 22-year-old, legit. An absolute stud. And the cornerstone of this Tampa Bay Rays club for many, many years. They need to figure out a long-term deal ASAP. Because that guy is the real deal Holyfield. Give him whatever the hell he wants. Because you want to make sure that when you open up that new stadium with those brand new owners, that the face of your franchise is Junior Caminero. A guy that has just absolutely crushed it in his first full season in the major leagues. Back up the Brinks truck. Give that guy whatever the hell he wants. Because, again, if the Rays make the playoffs, Junior Caminero should be under serious consideration for AL MVP. All right, before we get to Aileen Hnatiuk, let's talk about our guys, the Honest Hammer. Listen, you know what? Instead of looking at the website today, let's see if we can. I'm going to bring this up right now, guys. Here we go. Now, I'm going to share my screen with you. Here we go. Look at all this stuff right here. Honest Hammer Custom Builders. Me and Russ, our guy. There's the sign right there. 813-244-0956. Scan that QR code for all your commercial and residential needs. Look at this here. We got some steps. This is one of the new builds there in St. Pete. And then, I don't know who that is talking. Thursday yeah, I do. Morning in St. Pete. Look how nice that is. Now the other side. Cuidado. I love that. Caution, cuidado. And then when there's a little placard. Wet floor, piso mojado. So think about the stairs on one side, stairs on the other side here. Check this out.
This is going to be an indoor soccer area.
I'm an idiot.
This is amazing.
Hold on, guys. My dumbass did not add it to the screen. Hold on. Let me take this part off real quick. All right. So let's go back. Okay, there you go. Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, 813-244-0956. They'll be able to help you out whatever you need. These guys are the best. They are the absolute best. Now you're looking at it again. There's me and Russ doing a great job, as always. Honest Hammer Custom Builders. Look, there's the stairs going up to the front of the house on the new build.
Getting to work.
And then you look at the other side there. Check this.
It's going to be an indoor soccer area.
Yeah, they're going to make it for their daughters.
Dude, this is amazing.
TV in here, coming out of the gaming room. But since it's a flood elevation room, we can't put any furniture or bathrooms or anything in here.
Right. This is amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. For their kids to play in and whatnot.
So this is going to be an indoor soccer area?
Yeah,
soccer room. And then this is the upstairs. You're getting an indoor soccer room for your house downstairs. How badass is that? Oh, man. Aileen, just making sure your phone or laptop, whatever works for you, my friends. And you look at this upstairs. Look at this view outside.
The stairs. All the water. This is
what a layout.
Yeah. Bedroom, bathroom, closet.
This is the real deal Holyfield up here.
Try.
Wow. Look at how much space you have up here.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you could put a small soccer field downstairs.
Got that right. My gosh, man.
Yeah, so that's the kitchen, obviously. It's a living room. It's a master suite, bedroom, bathroom. Put a shower in, a freestanding tub, mainly on this wall. Master closet on the other side. And the kids' rooms, laundry room, and everything are all over here.
Wow, man.
Just unbelievable. What a great experience to go out there and chat with our guy, Russ, from Honest Hammer Custom Builders, 813-244-0956. Again, scan that QR code for all your residential and commercial needs. And just being around him and talking to some of the workers, some of the guys that does, they're just, these are the type of people that you want to do work with. These are the type of people that you want to, listen, you're building a home or you're renovating your bathroom or your kitchen. Like, this is a big deal. This is something you're trying to do and you're going to have for an extended period of time. And when you deal with a guy like Russ and you deal with the family over there at Honest Hammer, I can't say enough nice things about the people that they are. Forget about the work, and the work is fantastic, but just the people that they are and the things that are important to them, making sure they do it right the first time so you don't have to go back. That was one of the things with what he was telling me is like sometimes you have all these contracting, contractors and all these companies and something gets messed up and, you have to go back and you fix it. They don't worry about stuff like that because they get it done right the first time. And Russ is a guy, he's almost like a point guard. He's always, the communication skills that he has. He's a top tier communicator. He's the guy that makes sure that the windows are working with the plumbing and everything. Everybody's in concert. And if there are any issues leading up to it, because we know how it is, there's nothing, there's always going to be a back and forth. The lines of communication are always open. And he always speaks to the guys that he's working with respect. Everybody gets along. Like, what a great atmosphere to be around. And when people go there and they're on the job site together, everybody's happy and everybody's working together. Everybody knows that there's a job that needs to get done. And I was thoroughly impressed. And again, he's so detailed, the floor plans with everything. I just could not say enough nicer things. But yeah, you got a soccer room downstairs. Benny has a mini soccer room too. If he pushes his couch to the side, if an indoor, you son of a gun, you crazy. But yeah, Honest Hammer Custom Builders, again, 813-244-0956, residential and commercial needs. Scan that QR code right there. Make sure that you go to thehonesthammer.com, thehonesthammer@gmail.com. Give them a shout. Tell them that you heard it right here on the Jay Recher podcast, and you get a discount. Why do you want to go anywhere else than the Honest Hammer? And it may not be for you. Maybe it's for somebody else too. Give them a shout. Tell them that you heard it right here on the Jay Recher podcast. Get you a discount. All right, we'll be joined here momentarily by our good friend Aileen Hnatiuk from WFLA News Channel 8. Talk a little bit of everything. She was at the premiere last night as well, as the Buccaneers had their Raise the Flags premiere, celebrating 50 years of Buccaneer football here in the Tampa Bay area. There's just a lot of good vibes. I was just saying that we love throwing in those, positivity signs and good vibes into the pot. Same type of thing. That's what we want to do every single time. And we have that with what we saw last night with the Raise the Flags premiere. And then the big news today that the Big Rig is joining the Tampa Bay Lightning as an alumni ambassador. The more Big Rig that we have in our area, the better. The more of this next person that we have in the area, the better too. We had so much fun the other day at the opener for our USF Bulls against Boise State. It's our good friend Aileen Hnatiuk from WFLA News Channel 8. What's going on, my friend? How are you?
Hi, how are you? I'm trying to get to the landscape, but
it's okay.
Vertical. If I turn it this way, no, it's no.
Vertical's working.
Listen, I swear I'm a journalist. I'm in media.
I swear. So how was it last night? How was the Bucks Raise the Flag premiere looked amazing.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. The coolest part really was seeing everybody from 1979 and in the 2000s and just, the guys that really started the foundation for this team. And yeah, it was really cool. Didn't get a chance to see Tom, but yeah, it was awesome. I've also never been to the Tampa Theater before. Have you been there?
Oh, yes, I have. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool. So the area is cool as well.
Yeah. So what is it like? I mean, you were there too as well last Thursday night. Damn, it's a week ago tomorrow for USF against Boise State. What was that? I know the atmosphere for me was amazing. What was it like to be there at Raymond James Stadium right before they beat the snot out of the number 25 team in the country?
Jay, you're asking an East Carolina alum this question, so I don't know if I could answer it. No, I'm just kidding. I definitely have some love for the Bulls since I started covering them 2 years ago, but this is exciting. This is really exciting, this team. And I absolutely love Alex Golesh as a person and a coach. He's done a really good job with them. Byron Brown, how can you not cheer for him? But the atmosphere and the fan base, and it was just really, really fun to witness and see. I mean, who would have thought they would beat Boise State for real? Did you think that they could do it? Like, actually, though, don't sit there and lie to me, because I'm not going to lie to you. One of my guys, he was texting me and he was like, hey, like, I'm betting on this game. What do you think? And I'm like, I don't know. We'll see. It's the first game. But he went with Boise State, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah, he made the bad. I thought out of the first 3 games, it was the one that they had the best chance of winning. And my kind of call to arms Thursday right here on the show was, listen, the talking's over. Like, it's put up or shut up time. Like, for all this talk about, improvements, and you don't believe in silver linings and moral victories. Okay, well, now's your opportunity. You're at home. You're facing the number 25 team in the country on national TV. Everybody's got their eyes on you. They don't have their Heisman, type running back anymore with Ashton Genty. Now he's in the pro with the Raiders. So they did exactly what they needed to do. So I was very, very happy with that performance there. But yeah, we had one guy that called in. He actually lives in Oklahoma last week that said they're going to blow him out. And we were like, all right, buddy.
Did he really?
And he was right, man. He was right. He's our guy from Oklahoma. So really,
even the
really
way
good
they were
stuff there.
moving, like during pregame too.
Yeah.
You were there with me watching, like, just, the way they're warming up, like, just kind of, you could feel the like shift in mentality. Like, you're right. Okay. It's either, do or die. Let's show them what we're actually talking about. It's time to walk and not talk. And yeah, there was definitely a vibe and energy of needing to fulfill that for sure. And they did.
Yeah, they did an
I'm
unbelievable
excited to
job.
see them this
I am
week.
too against the Gators. All right, let's see what you're all about. Aileen, I was looking up a picture before to put on Twitter to promote your appearance today. And there's the first thing that pops. You know what the first thing that pops up on
It's
is?
that purple turtleneck.
It's not, it's that one, but it's also an article from The Sun in the UK that says Aileen Hnatiuk called the most beautiful woman alive as NFL reporter stuns ahead of new season. So there you go, my friend.
Listen, I don't know what that's all about. It's probably because it was in the UK, not the US. No, but it is funny. My friend brought that up the other week, and we were out getting drinks, and she was like, "You should just have that on your phone and be like, oh, sorry, I don't know what that is there. I didn't need to have that on my phone." No,
humble brag. Time for the humble brag.
Look,
Yeah.
that's fine. That's cool and stuff, but I was always raised like.
Yeah, tell us about your background, Aileen, because I think a lot of people see that kind of stuff, and I wanted to give you an opportunity today to kind of tell people where you're from, and I know you love horses. I know that's I do my research here on the program, but I want to give our viewers here and people here in the Tampa Bay area kind of a little bit of an insight to not just the Aileen that covers sports, but who you are and where you're from.
Well, you're also a legend, so I appreciate you giving me kind of the platform per se to be able to talk a little bit about myself, which I absolutely hate doing. But a little small town Wiki Wachi in the middle of nowhere. Grew up, my grandparents had a farm, 50 acres in Brooksville. I had 40, 50 cows and a bunch of horses. So I grew up on that. And I've just always had, the very humble mindset. It's not worth having if you don't work for it. I come from a family that, my dad was professional athlete. He came from small town Selkirk, little Canadian town, to going to college in Southern Miss, which kind of weird, right? But he, I know, out of like all the schools, he went there on like a $500 scholarship.
Wow.
Then eventually $500, $500, and eventually became team captain, and then eventually got on the Nike tour, and then eventually earned his PGA Tour card. So that is just kind of how I was raised and how my parents raised me. And I think also being from where I'm from, where there's literally like 10 people in that town, it not much to do besides work really hard for what you want, and also play in the mud with the horses and cows. But yeah, it's from Wiki Wachi. It's just my sister and I. We both played volleyball in college, and that was a dream of mine to always play Division I volleyball. So that happened. Then also a dream of mine to be a sports reporter. So just always raised on that hardworking mentality. And you see the article, oh, most beautiful, whatever. Oh, she's pretty, but looks are also subjective, and I find you could compliment somebody and it means absolutely nothing, which obviously thank you, that's great, and vice versa if I compliment you, but it you take it with a grain of salt, because at the end of the day that all that could be taken away from you, right? Like there's stuff that happens all the time, right? Your tragedies happen, your house catches on fire, you catch on fire, and all of a sudden all your your hair, it's all gone. So if you put your worth and those sort of things, I just think that's so detrimental to people. So I make sure that, I try to put my worth in spreading love and joy, and through really my work, my storytelling. And yeah, it's very fulfilling.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Yeah, you are. We have so much fun every time we're together, and
we do.
You kind of say it's so funny because we're I'm like on the sideline, and I'm sitting there and talking. All of a sudden, like I just feel somebody next to me, and it's you, and I'm like, oh,
not even jumping and being scared.
I'm that. I've always been that person. Like my friends are like, oh, no, I'm always that person where you could be sitting right next to me and go like this. Oh, like, shit. Don't be scared. And people get mad at me. I'm like, I can't control this shit. I don't know.
Did you know that means you have a guilty conscience? It's a good thing. If you
no, really?
Easily, swear. But that's a good thing. That means, you're not doing bad things out there. You have a guilty conscience.
I guess
I do too.
All right. So tell us about the purple turtleneck and that picture and the whole story. So where did that was in New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
And then how did that take off into what it became?
Dude, so I've never even talked about it. It's so funny being on the other end of this right now. Someone asking me questions. I'm like, oh my gosh, like what do I do? What do I do with my hands, Ricky Bobby? No, it's so funny. I just, how we all do, just post pictures of ourselves on social media, and then I just posted that picture, and I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why. Just people liked it. But this is what's crazy about it, Jay. I was MMJing that day. Multimedia journalist, right? Where you shoot, edit, all
Oof.
your own stuff.
One
Right.
woman
So
band. Yeah.
so one woman band. So I had that camera. I set the camera up. I set that shot up, and I recorded that shot myself. And what I did was, what I do is I'll take a screen grab of the shot, right? So I'll edit my stories, blah, blah, blah. And then when I see a frame that I'm like, oh, that would be a nice picture, I'll take a screen grab, like a screenshot, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, posted that. It was just like, oh, that's a wrap with season, whatever, because when you're, especially in local news, you're doing so much, you're wearing so many hats, you don't have time to sit there and like have a whole photo shoot and take a million pictures and the editing and the lighting and this and that. I'm like, I do not have time for that. So screen grab, post, and I don't know, caught on. Guess it was a nice color. I don't know.
So take us through the journey of like your sports reporting career. Where did you go right out of college? And then how did you end up at WFLA News Channel 8?
Dude, started from the bottom.
Now we hear.
For those. Yeah. 0 to 100.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I mean, for those who aren't familiar with the media and like how it works in local news, there's a list of markets, right? So New York City's number one, Los Angeles is number two, blah blah blah, and so forth. The lower the number, the 1, 2, 3, the higher you are in terms of viewership, money, etc. Right? So I started. There's probably like 205 markets in the US. I started at market 186 out of college in Charlottesville, Virginia. And I had a choice to either start in market 95, which at that time in 2018 would have been a pretty big jump, because now college kids are going from college to markets, whatever, 80 now. But I chose to do market 186 because I wanted to do sports. I was going to be the number 3, and I was going to be a sports reporter, sports MMJ, or I'd be in Greenville, North Carolina, doing news and sports. And for those listening, if you're in journalism, make sure if you want to do sports, you do sports. You don't go news and sports, because they'll pull you into the news world. And I wanted to 100% be in sports, so I trusted my gut, trusted my instincts, and started in 186. Did 2 years there, and then that was 2020. So that was when COVID hit, and I kind of bet on myself for a few months and moved back home and was freelancing and taking some jobs here and there, because again, I wanted to do sports. I was so stubborn. I was like, I do not want to do news, and there's obviously no sports happening because it was COVID. But again, bet on myself, and then I took a job in Baton Rouge in 2021, and that was really where and why I feel like I have been able to do so well here in Tampa, covering LSU, covering the Saints, and just really, really being tested in terms of my knowledge and my career, and being challenged. And it was
In what way?
awesome.
What? How do you get challenged, Aileen? Because is it
Dude,
one of those everywhere, right?
you see, grandma Clarice walking down the street, and you asked her what Drew Brees' middle name is, and she's like, it's Brad. It's not. But you know what I mean? Like those in the South, in the deep South, they know their shit. They know their shit, and there's no faking it, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people try to get by in this business, and it can only get you so far, but you really have to buy into it, and kind of say, okay, well, I do need to improve here. Okay, I do need, okay, I'm good here. What do I need to learn here? And really embrace the like challenges, and even some like embarrassing things. Be like, okay, well, I don't know that, but now I do, because you're challenged, right? And I think that's so important, really, in any career, is to kind of accept, getting better and not being arrogant and being like, no, I already know that. Because I think that's why I love this career. And I'm sure you can agree, is there, you can always learn something. There's always something new every single week. Bucky's got to rush this many more yards this game, but he didn't last game. It's just it's so different every time, and you can always learn something. So it was huge. And then yeah, came here 2 years after that, and it's been the dream come true working in my home market.
Yeah, people have asked me over the years, now that I've been here and working over a decade here in Tampa, and they go, what's the best part? You've covered WrestleManias, World Series,
Right.
Stanley Cups. Is it the players? Is it the events? And to be honest with you, and I know I may be in the minority, but to me, it's the people that we work with. It's the times that we share, because we're not fans, and we're kind of that conduit between the people that are fanatics and the professional athletes making millions of dollars. So you are very fortunate to be able to work with a guy like Bob Hansen, who I think is the best photog probably in the country.
Best.
He is. We've had so much fun over the years. Dan Lucas, who's no longer there at Channel 8, is one of my guys that is just
Totally.
a good pal, just unbelievable
And shout out to
mentor and
them.
big brother. Yeah, we
Really,
had
shout out to them. They've been a big help.
Unbelievable at what they've been able to do to kind of help people like myself, like yourself.
And me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just incredible what they've been able to do. What was the experience like in the preseason? Because I know it was a big deal, and you and I spoke about this at One Buck a couple weeks ago. I thought you did an incredible job, and especially on one of the days when it was raining and you had to do a little bit of everything. And those broadcasts are tough because you're kicking it to news people, and they're more on the surface area. That's just what they do. They're not paid to know all the different intricacies and X's and O's. It's not their gig, right? But the way that broadcast went, kicking it back to Kenny Morales in the studio, you did such an incredible job. What's the biggest thing you learned about yourself and the job doing those 3 preseason games for Channel 8?
I love you. I literally love you. No, you're awesome. I appreciate that. It means the world. It was awesome. I'm have butterflies thinking about it and talking about it, because every decision and everything that I have done and every decision I've made, every choice that I've made since I was 11 years old has led to that moment of sidelining an NFL game. At 11 years old in middle school, 12 years old, seeing Aaron, don't want to age her, Aaron Andrews, covering, I think it was the SEC, no, it was national championship with Tim Tebow. And I remember seeing it, I was like, oh my, I was like, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. And ever since then, I've been, I joined clubs in middle school, joined clubs in high school. I did pageants to try and shape my presence, my on air everything that I have done. Volleyball, I felt like that, playing a sport in college, that would be helpful to, in this business. So every decision I have made was for those moments. And you talk about putting the pressure on yourself, okay, oh, it's a preseason game, whatever, anyone could say what they want, but to me, that was a big moment for me and a really special moment. And my family was actually there the first game. I was able to have them in attendance. They've never been to a game before, so they were at the first game that I sidelined, which was just the coolest thing ever. But you ask what I learned about myself. The same thing that I learned when I was at the Olympics, because I was really nervous for that. It was, that was a big deal, and I knew it was going to be a lot of work. And what I learned was I can do it. I can do it. I can handle that workload, because a lot of people don't know and they don't see, like you said, I was hosting a show before doing the sidelining, and those are 2 completely different things. Bob Hansen and Kenny Morales and I are all working on our 30-minute special, and we're cutting, editing, producing, writing that entire 30-minute show on top of the sideline gig, where during the week, we're in production meetings. Okay, what are our storylines? So when I'm at practice during the week, it's okay, I'm turning a story today for WFLA, but I also want to make sure I talk to, Tez Johnson, Emeka Buka, and, Garrett Green, and ask them questions just to see if maybe that's something we could talk about during the game, but that's separate from my effort. So it's like so
Mhm.
much, but you just learn, you just do it. You just learn how to do it. Um, but it was crazy. The game, it was crazy, but it's cool because a producer's like, hey, let's go Garrett Green story. And I'm like, okay, got it. So I'm like, all right. And he's like, just kidding. We're gonna do that after the first break. Hey, can you go grab so and so? Okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna come here.
Mhm.
It's like it's changing every second. And while that's happening, you're like, okay, is Baker, did he celebrate with Emeka Ibuka after that touchdown? Is that something that I could, what did he do? Did he give him a hug? Did he put his hand up? Is he, you're watching for all these little things while also making sure you have, your storylines. So it was cool though. By game 3, I mean, I felt really, really comfortable out
Good.
there, and it was such an honor. And Dan Lucas, he had done those games before, so I made sure Dan to go back and watch
Mhm.
those games and kind of see him. And I was texting him about it a few months ago, and just everyone was such a big help. Chris Myers, Rondé Barber, they're so incredibly awesome. They were a big help. Really, just the whole production crew and the Buck staff too. Like, they're all so
Mhm.
cooperative and nice. And without, as everybody, it doesn't work. So it was nice that everybody was such a big help. But yeah, dude, it was cool. It was really, really cool. I'm like a little kid in a candy shop. I'm not gonna front about it either. Like, it was a really amazing experience, and I'm really grateful for it.
Yeah, it's fun to be like, oh, it's not a big deal. But when it's something that you've been, dreaming of, and this is what you wanted
Yeah,
to do ever since you were a little kid, I mean, I
yeah.
think it's important to celebrate those big things. All right, before I let you go, what does the future hold for Aileen Hnatiuk? I want to, you know, I said it before you came on. Like, I think you are destined for bigger and better and the greatest things that our
Stop it.
industry has to give us. But what's your ideal? What's your dream job? If I said in 5 years, Aileen, you're going to be right here, where would that be?
Dude, I want to be happy. I want to be happy, and I want to be, um, I want to work with good people. I want to be happy. I want to be in a, maybe near my family. I want to be near my friends. I want to, wherever that's supposed to be. I stopped really saying I want to be in a top market by this age. I want to be in network by this age. And I remember in Louisiana, I was what, 27 at that time, 27. I'm like, and I love Louisiana,
Mhm.
but I'm 27 in Baton Rouge. And I'm like, okay, I know this, I don't really want to settle down in Baton Rouge. And this is not where I want to be forever. Um, like, man, I want to be somewhere. I want to be in a city. I'm in my 20s. Like, and then, I really, I prayed about it, and I had, a few come to Jesus moments, and I was like, said to myself, okay, God, universe, if this is where you want me to be,
Mhm.
I'll be here. And for whatever reason that is, if it's to help people, if it's to, you know, um, do whatever, then I accept that, and I'll be here. And what you have for me, I'll be patient for it. And dude, like a month later, FLA reached out, and they were like, we want to talk to you. Maybe it was a month later, so I don't know, but
Mhm.
they were like, we want to talk to you about, some opportunities. So ever since then, I have always answered that question like this, being like, all I'm gonna do is come into work, be a good person, work hard, do a good job, make someone smile, and the rest will work itself out. But NFL sideline reporter wouldn't be that bad either.
She's more than just a purple turtleneck, folks. She's all over it. Aileen Hnatiuk, Hnatiuk. Spell it right, say it right. This girl is destined for the best the world
You're the
has to
best.
offer.
Thanks,
Thank you
Jay.
so much, Aileen. I am so proud of you. To see your growth just
Um,
in your short time here in the Tampa Bay area is truly inspirational. I'm glad to call you a colleague and a friend.
um,
And you have a great rest of your week. And we'll have you back soon.
you're the best.
Definitely on
Appreciate
the
you, big
program.
bro.
We'd love to have
Please.
you.
I'd love to be back. Thank you for having me. You're the best. Love you. And I'll see you at work. I'll see you see you tomorrow, Sonny.
You're the best. Thanks,
Bye.
Eileen. Bye.
Thank you, Jay. Bye.
Yeah, she's the best, man. Unbelievable job. She just gets better and better and better. I mean, when you really put a lot of work into your craft and you really care about the work that you're doing, I mean, the sky's the limit. And I love what you said. Like you get into a place where you're not so focused on, I have to do this by this time. And I had that early on in my radio career. They were like, well, what do you want to do? And I'm just like, dude, as long as I'm working with good people and I'm working in sports, like, do I need to be an afternoon drive host? That wasn't like, if I don't do that by 29, I'm screwed. Like, no. And, I think part of that, you look at it and you want to make sure that you're steadfast in trying to achieve your goals and keeping your foot to the gas pedal and making sure that you're pushing yourself to be the best you can be. But there's also something to be said for kind of like shooting for the moon kind of thing, and then you fall amongst the stars, I guess is the old adage. So I love the mindset that Aileen has. And, you do have an opportunity for success if you're somebody that has a great attitude and you're willing to outwork the person next to you. So, all right. So I wanted to talk about something, but you know what? I'm going to end it on that because I don't want to necessarily end it on what I was going to talk about when it comes to, you can say whatever you want in sports media. So I'm going to save that for tomorrow's show because that was a perfect way to end the show. I think, Aileen, that was kind of the cherry on top. That was a good way to end it. Look at Quentin. Atlanta's in the building. All right. Rise up. Good for you, Quinn. Falcons. You think you guys are going to win this weekend? You thinking going to win the division? Why not, man? I love a good back and forth. I think Atlanta presents a big challenge for the Buccaneers. They have to show that they are better and improved from last year because Atlanta had their number in the last couple of seasons. Even with Desmond Ridder. I mean, it wasn't easy for the Buccaneers to beat those teams. I remember the one game with Bijan Robinson didn't play, and I was in the locker room with Calais Campbell. And listen, the Buccaneers have to raise their level because regardless of what's going to happen as the season goes on, like sometimes these divisional matchups are a bear and you don't know. Atlanta is going to force the Buccaneers to play their best game out of the gates. All right, a big thank you to Marc Raimondi from ESPN. Of course, our good friend Aileen Hnatiuk from WFLA News Channel 8 and our pal Honestheimer Custom Builders, LLC. For all your residential and commercial needs, 813-244-0956. Scan that QR code and he can help you out in any form or fashion. We love our pal Honestheimer Custom Builders, LLC. We got Logan Robinson joining us from Bucs Game Day tomorrow. Alexa Russo, the new Tampa Catholic softball coach, will join us tomorrow. And then we have Bailey Adams from Pewter Report joining us on Friday. Beckles and Recher podcast around 3:30 today. Make sure you're subscribed to our channel right here so you know when we go live. All right. I love you all. I appreciate you all. We'll see you tomorrow at noon right here on the Jay Recher podcast. I'm gone.